Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Fireside Chat with me and Elio. Super excited for this Fireside Chat. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Crypto Man Ran Neu Ner. I am the founder, the host, the executive producer of the first televised crypto show in the world called CNBC Crypto Trader. And I'm also the founder of Crypto Banter, which is a 24/7, 365 crypto streaming station that we're building. So if you're not following us, now's a good time to start following us. I'm also on Twitter at CryptoManRan. And today I am joined by a friend, first and foremost, but more than that, someone who I respect immensely, and specifically for a quality that he has, which allows him to see around corners. So I was introduced to Elio watching his YouTube channel when people were in the bear market and not interested in crypto content. And Elio was producing crypto content, and he was seeing trends way before they happened. And I found this guy who was seeing trends way before they happened. And he is now, he still has his YouTube channel, EllioTrades, and he also is the founder of SuperFarm, which is an NFT protocol. So I figured this is the best guest to have here, because if someone sees around corners and knows what the trends are going to be, then this is the guy, and he's willing to dedicate his whole life to NFTs. Then he must have some real insight as to why NFTs are more than just JPEGs that are selling for millions and millions and millions of dollars. So Elliot, welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much. Fantastic intro. If you guys are not already subscribed to Rand's channel, Crypto Banter, it is, I think, the most entertaining daily recurring crypto segment out there. Definitely check it out. And I learn from you every day, man. So thank you for having me on.
Likewise. So Elliot, quick, you could have done anything that you wanted in the world. In 2017, 2018, you were in crypto, you made some cash. You could have done anything that you wanted in the world. How did you land up, and why did you land up in NFTs? Why, of all the industries, DeFi, store of value, exchanges, why NFTs? I mean, JPEGs.
Yeah, I completely get it. And, you know, the story to get there actually, I think, is the only reason why I ended up here, which is the bear market of 2018. Was the reason why I ended up in NFTs. When the bear market hit, we had been, you know, all of us had been obsessed with crypto. The disruption levels we were seeing out of these projects were clear to see. It was obvious. And the amount of capital flowing in was mind-blowing. So when the bear market hit in 2018, I didn't understand how people could leave crypto. It made no sense to me why people would leave this industry, which was so clearly the next coming of the internet bubble or the internet wave, whatever you want to call it, the .com bubble, whatever. And there was clearly what we know what happened after the bubble is for the .com era is we got, you know, the never-ending bull market. And I believe strongly that was going to happen for crypto. But then I saw a market where everything hinged on Bitcoin growing in value. As soon as Bitcoin stopped growing in value, everything died, and there was nothing left. And so my team and I spent essentially that year, 2018, for the most part, brainstorming products that did not feel like they would be reliant on Bitcoin's price and things that could be used whether or not the number was going up or down on Bitcoin. And we kept coming around and around to the idea of video games with NFTs. It was just over and over again, all of our research and data was just like, it has to be a game with NFTs, because we saw the rise of gaming, we saw the promise of NFTs, and we saw that this was something that clearly had potential within the context of a digital world. And as a gamer myself, I'm a big gamer, and I love buying skins and upgrading my characters. And so I understood it very personally. Hey, this is something I would pay for. So I know that other people would pay for it too. And ever since then, it's just been building. We've been building the game studio, and then now the NFT protocol, and the world now has kind of swung around to our point of view, which is super, super cool to see. And I honestly didn't even anticipate it happening this fast, but it's just amazing to see.
Yeah, so it is happening much faster than we thought. I mean, I must say, I really can't believe the short amount of time in which NFTs have taken over the world. I said that it is probably the fastest growing and most exciting industry that the world has ever seen. Not crypto, the world. It's not complicated. It's the product that brings the masses into crypto. And, you know, I asked my producer, Fred, who's aping into apes and punks and everything else. said to him, why are you doing this? You could be buying DeFi protocols. And he said, well, DeFi means I need to understand yield. I need to understand smart contracts. I don't want to understand that. I like a character. I buy the character because it looks good. And that's the psyche that's going to bring mainstream, or is bringing mainstream into crypto. Before we talk about videos, let's talk about NFTs. And there's a lot going on, but there's a lot of projects, but there's a lot going on where punks are selling for millions and millions and millions of, hundreds of thousands of dollars and even millions of dollars. What's that all about? I mean, I understand a JPEG in a game that can be used to enhance your performance in a game or to make you look better in a game. What I struggle to get my head around is why people are willing to pay millions of dollars for CryptoPunks, which is, in my opinion, an ugly JPEG that a 14-year-old could do. Why are people paying hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Yeah, it's a great question. And let me know, can you hear me? I just switched to my main mic. Okay, great. So the one thing that I totally underestimated and that I did not see coming, and I did not see the CryptoPunks movement coming. Obviously, now I'm a punk owner, but I was not early to this trend by any means. I underestimated utility of NFTs coming in the form of social recognition and social identity. Now, of course, we do 95% of the things in our life for social acceptance and social and to bolster our social identities. Otherwise, we'd all just drive, cars that were just like, metal boxes with wheels. But no, we want brands. We want Teslas. We want Ferraris, and we want nicer watches. The only reason why these things exist is because people want to be unique. Now, we are living in a world that is rapidly becoming 100% digitized. And our experiences that we have and our interactions, for example, right here, are becoming, if not already, more important than our physical interactions. So our identity in this world is a big deal. And what happened with something like CryptoPunks is these are called profile picture projects or avatar projects. And the reason why they're called that is because these characters are actually things that people choose to use as their identity as they go throughout Twitter, Telegram, Reddit, Discord. In this already kind of 2D metaverse we have, people are choosing this as their identity. And it's kind of an unknown or unspoken, unwritten rule that you have to own this thing if you want to use it as your identity, or else, it's kind of whack. It's like you're not really in the club if you're not owning this piece that you're using as your identity. So how do I become a part of these elite clubs, which became quite elite because all of a sudden these ultra powerful people started buying CryptoPunks. It's not easy to spend $100,000 on a JPEG now. And so that's now raised the bar for the minimum entry. And it became quite an elite club, like some kind of pseudo global digital fraternity, like obviously not gendered or anything, but just it became a group of people that started looking out for each other based upon their common interests. And this punk thing became a huge phenomenon that I did not see coming. But more and more people now want to punk. More and more people want to join this club. And there's literally no punks left. Everyone sold them all, and everybody knows how valuable they are now. And so the only way to get one is to spend crazy money. And you won't even get a good one. You'll get just like a basic one. And so that was a trend I didn't see coming.
I think the cheapest punk today is $120,000, or is that the average price? It's either the average or the cheapest, but it's $120,000. Now, before we talk more about punks, just some background for those of you who don't know what punks are. Punks was a project from 2017 or 2018 where they minted 10,000 limited edition, one-of-a-kind punks, and they gave them out for free, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. They were free to claim for, I think, several months, and then eventually people started trading them. So it was a total experiment, as all the great things are.
Wow. Okay. So carry on. So you're part of this club. What are the benefits? So I'm part of the club. I buy a punk. I spend $120,000. Or a mutual friend of ours actually bought the punk with the COVID mask on for $11 million.
And quite, people are going to probably scorn me in the comments for this, but that was one of the best buys I've ever seen. That I think it was $12 million or something. And that will go down as one of the best pickups, because that is the most valuable punk. It is the rarest punk, and it's also got the historical significance of predicting COVID because it was made in 2017 and it had the COVID mask. And so people have this sort of, this feeling like its historical significance is really high in addition to its rarity. And it's also people like the way it looks. So those three things make this the most valuable punk. Now, punks right now are being treated a little bit like internet gold, like this singular digital asset that is going to have the most value of any NFT. It might not, but that's kind of how it's being treated. And so in that world right now, punks are now being sold for like on a regular basis, multi-million dollars. And so so now the most valuable one, there's an argument that it's going to start reaching potential 9-figure values soon, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
There were 2 punks put on sale this weekend. I don't think any of them sold, but one of them was put on sale for $90 million, and another one was put on sale for $300 or $120 million. I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars for the punks. Other than the avatar pick which you own and a sense of acceptance into a club, which is not a formal club by any shape or form,
no.
What are the other benefits of owning a punk? It's a collector's piece. It's a piece of art. It's a piece of history. But what are the other benefits of holding a punk?
So let's talk frankly right now. The reality is this is a wildly experimental moment. And there is undeniable euphoria in this industry right now. Undeniable, wild explosion of values. That is very, very similar to like things that we saw in the .com bubble, in ICO bubbles. It feels very 2017 in NFT land, where pretty much anything, any idea, any concept, any little twist of innovation, no matter how small, is being welcomed and being met with insane consumer support or trading support, whatever is the real support. But for the most part, people are making crazy money. Every single project is selling out and growing in value. Not every single one, but like the vast majority. And punks and apes in specific just keep going up. Now, usually, as you've known, as I've learned over the years, this can't last forever. So it does feel like this is a very unique moment. It doesn't feel like it can keep going too much further at this pace, at least in the short term, because you're saying, well, where does it go? I mean, what does one punk become $10 billion? How does the market support this at a certain level? And it started to completely decouple from even art, which, the most expensive piece of art is like $100 million or something like that, the most expensive art sales. So how is
$69 million?
Yeah. And so now you're looking at, okay, so now a punk is going to be worth more than the most expensive piece of art ever in history. And there's 10,000 of them. And so, yeah, there starts to be a logical gap here on valuations that we're starting to rapidly approach. Now, that's not to say that this can't keep going. Bubbles are always fun when they're going. But we're going to see probably some corrective behavior soon, which is why I'm preaching a lot of caution, preaching for people to take profits if they've made some wild profits in this market. For example, I bought a Bored Ape the other day, and then I didn't realize, but I had bought the lowest valued one of its most rare trait. And then the next valued up one was over double. And so just me buying that made it, and then I took that one off the market, made it so that trait group I had went up 2.5x that day. Right. And so now people are saying, I could probably resell it for 2.5 times what I bought it, the next day. Right. Or something or instantly. And so you're seeing some kind of growth in the market of investors learning just like how to even price things. We don't know yet. We're just seeing wild FOMO and wild growth, and it's becoming really exciting. The reason why is because you're attracting new audiences through this NFT thing. Whereas, like you're saying, DeFi is like yawn. It's very, very heady. A lot of people don't really care or that aren't that inspired by a few % of yield. And it's just not that attractive as a product category. It doesn't onboard people. Whereas NFTs is fun. And I have constant messages from people saying, oh, I've been trading stocks for 20 years, but now I started trading NFTs. and my wife sits with me and does it. My kids sit with me and do it. They help me pick out the one that they like. And all of a sudden it's a family activity. And I feel like I have something in common with my family here. And while that is not explaining this whole trend, it's just an example of ways that this is fundamentally involves a creative or a sort of an emotional side connection to this art, the visuals, the aesthetics that is totally different than what's going on in crypto. And that fun feeling, that feeling of belonging, of smiling, of connecting with the actual creative side is why this is spreading through social media to influencers, to brands, to all kinds of artists. And quite frankly, I've said this a bunch of times, artists and musicians and influencers, they don't really have the ability to impact, traditional crypto products. Like if Kim Kardashian tweets about, Thorchain, it's probably not going to do anything but raise a bunch of eyebrows. And people would be like, why is Kim Kardashian tweeting about Thorchain? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make me more bullish. Certainly doesn't. It makes you bearish, right? It's like a top signal, right? You sell that news. Whereas if Kim Kardashian got a crypto punk, I'd say, oh, wow, this is getting huge now. And there's a sense of the more, like Jay-Z as a punk as his profile picture. Some of the most powerful, like Gary Vee, some of the most powerful people in the world now have these. Mark Cuban has punks, and all of a sudden owning these now connects you in a very tight group to very, very important people. And that feeling of wanting to belong, I can see as going to be very, very popular especially as soon as Instagram integrates NFTs, which they've now said they're going to. And so just imagine the Kim K NFT pack, and all of a sudden all the pop stars are putting it as their profile picture. I know my girlfriend's going to come in, my fiance now is going to come in and say, hey, get me one of these. I want one,
I mean, I had a thought recently, which was, if you own a punk and I own a penguin or an ape, and we kind of have a responsibility or a challenge to build the profile of that punk and to build the personality of that punk as much as we can. So chances are you should be buying a punk that or a NFT that kind of represents a part of your personality. Because the way I see it is, it's a matter of time before Disney goes out and says, you know what, we want to do a movie, a CryptoPunks movie, or a CryptoPunks and Bored Apes movie. And they will license the NFT from the user, from the investor. And so that you want to talk about involving people in new types of industries. Imagine Disney reaches out to you for your apes or for your punks and says, we want to use them in a film. And every time somebody watches that film through a smart contract, you get your percentage revenue because people are watching the film. So that's one way that it can go. The other way that it can go is the metaverse. And this is something that I want to talk to you about because my mind is absolutely blown. And I'll tell you why. We have hired a team of people who their whole function is to buy in metaverse and in-game items. Now, for those of you who don't know what a metaverse is, it's a virtual second world. It's a computer program which is a virtual second world. And you can buy property, you can develop your properties, and every time that you purchase a piece of land, that's an NFT. What is the relevance of buying a punk and then migrating that to a metaverse? Because it kind of feels like we're creating, as if we don't have enough to do in this world, we're creating like parallel worlds. I mean, I was blown away. My guy said to me, we should buy this piece of land in virtual Manhattan and we should build a coffee shop. I'm like, why? Tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So look, it's our lives are just, if you look at the chart, there's one chart that is pretty reliable, which is the pace at which our lives are growing more digital, And if you look at that, if you look over the last 20 years, that might be the most bullish chart in the world. We're slipping and sliding into a digital world, and we're still a very transitional time right here. And if you look at Gary Vee's comments, he says, we are digital cavemen. We think we're so sophisticated with our screens and our, but it's so early for this whole digital thing. The internet was created, like really the commercial internet took over in the 90s. It's so early. And so we don't really even have a concept of the toolkits and how early this is. But looking back in a few decades, it'll be so obvious, the concept of digital property, right? It's like, oh, I own stuff in the real world and no one can take it from me because we have police and laws. And in the digital world, we own stuff and no one can take it from us because of blockchain. And it's going to be very, very simple that you store stuff you own in the digital world. And as we spend more and more time in the digital world, we'll spend more and more money. It's really, really a very simple relationship. Wherever you spend your time, you spend your money. And we're spending our time in digital world. So it makes total sense that we'd want to own stuff. Now, I can guarantee you this is going to be a wild ride, and I can guarantee you that nobody really knows which direction it's going to go. But there's just a wild rush right now where the world has finally really had that, light bulb moment, and when I say the world, it's only like 60,000 people. That's a tiny, tiny fraction of the world. And I imagine that this is going to be not just something that appeals to, finance people. This is going to be the vast majority of the world, the social media users, the video game players. These people are going to all come on to the metaverse, and they're going to spend their time there. So you can imagine it's 60,000 people out of 8 billion. Is not many. And so that's why people are so excited about this is the opportunity to be first and early in what could be the biggest sort of change in our society ever is that's what people are speculating on. And that's where the valuations come from. And having the most valuable avatar. I mean, your avatar, that's your identity in this world. That is your aesthetic. That is what people see you as. That is how you are. That is your headshot, right? Headshots no longer, right? This is going to be your headshot. And so I joked that I don't hire people with headshots anymore. I only hire people with and the truth is the last 3 people I've hired have had a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk as their headshot.
We interviewed a person who put a skill on his CV which said, I'm an expert Googler. And we were completely intrigued because that's actually the kind of guy that you want to be hiring. Some intriguing things about the metaverse. Well, for one, I think Christie's has opened a virtual store, or Sotheby's has opened a virtual store in the metaverse, which is a huge sign of where they see the money migrating to. We have all the big brands and all the celebrities now migrating people to crypto naturally because they're bringing their follower base and they're saying, look, you want to catch me at the metaverse. Come and have coffee with me in the metaverse, in this virtual world. Coca-Cola, the biggest consumer brand in the world, is now involved in the metaverse doing NFT giveaways on Decentralised. And today I heard something incredible. Gucci sold a bag in the metaverse for more expensive than the same bag in the real world. So that means that somebody was willing to pay more for a bag in the metaverse than they were willing to pay in the real world. And I think that for me was the epiphany, to say a Gucci bag is expensive. It's a big purchase. And when you're willing to spend more for the digital NFT JPEG version of it because you care more about your image in the digital world, that's when you realize that we're going digital very, very quickly.
How many people see you carry your Gucci bag around in an average day?
How many people look or how many people care?
You go to the mall, you go with your family, you go have dinner. Like, how many people are going to see your wife carrying around the Gucci bag?
1,000?
Maybe. In a physical world, in a day, you think you're seeing thousands of people?
My wife's hot, so people will look.
Okay, so a couple of thousand. And the reality is in the metaverse, you could have millions of people viewing you at any time, right? And so, obviously most people won't, but, I think it's just one of those things where what are you paying for? You're paying for people to know that you have, otherwise you just get a grocery bag and you carry it around if you really didn't care how it looked. But with this designer bag thing, you're looking for people to associate you as a stylish, cool person. And that's going to be the same in the metaverse. If you look at Instagram, why do people fly around the world taking selfies on the top of mountaintops? They want people to see that they're cool and they do cool stuff. And so, if you think about this as a way to do that without ever leaving the comfort of your chair.
Which makes sense after COVID. We were all locked down in our houses. And those of us or those people that used to use experiences outside of the home to enhance their social status now didn't have that. And so they had to become more creative. And I guess that was probably one of the catalysts that led to people migrating much more into a digital world. Got a few more minutes. Let's talk about NFT gaming. And I think specifically, let's talk about play to earn gaming. What is it? what is this thing called Axie Infinity? What is the impact that this thing is having on the world?
So play to earn gaming is a subset of crypto gaming, of NFT gaming, where essentially the concept is that you complete certain objectives and you check in at a certain periods throughout the day in order to earn rewards that are paid in the form of cryptocurrency. Now, the thing about play to earn that's interesting is you're essentially giving out cryptos for people spending their time. And that is something that requires quite a nice balance of the economy to make sure that you don't give out too many coins, you don't dilute it too fast. And so otherwise the coins, in theory, you think would go to zero because you're like, okay, you're pretty much giving these out and people could just start milking this. And so play to earn is an amazing way to attract people to a product like a game, which typically is very, very hard to make money on. But now instead your people are showing up and they're making 10, 20, 30 bucks a day. Now in the United States, maybe 10, 20, 30 bucks a day doesn't really necessarily put a roof over your head. In a lot of countries, it does. And so what you've seen is this massive, massive movement for a game called Axie Infinity, which has actually been around since 2018, done several rounds of funding, and has been really refining their product aggressively for years now, almost 4 years. They finally hit this balance, this perfect balance of gameplay, community management, and then they had this one thing that they added that really sent them over the top, this one specific change called the scholarship program. Now, the scholarship program effectively allowed people to lend their Axies, because you need to own this character. You need to own a character to play Axie. And now to get an Axie,
you need
three characters rather, correct. And so in order to really get set up with Axie costs about $500-$600 to actually get in and start playing. Now, a lot of people in different parts of the world couldn't afford that, but they wanted to play, they wanted to earn, but they couldn't afford to buy in. And so there was this program by which people could lend out their Axies to others who were willing to play with them, and essentially create almost like a stable of players that they made some money off of as they played. And so this change allowed for this to be opened up to all sorts of new audiences. And it really took root in the Philippines, where the Philippines, you have hundreds of thousands, and now Africa, really explosive new populations of new game players that are coming and not just playing and having fun, getting assets and trading them, but also earning a living wage by playing this game. And that is something that has not happened before. And it is an absolute mind-blowing revelation for the gaming industry to have a video game that is supporting villages across the world.
Well, I want to just explain a little bit more about Axie. So to play Axie is a game of skill and of luck. And effectively, Elio could challenge me to a duel. And to play that duel, we would both need to bring 3 Axies, or 3 players, with each one having an Axie. And then we would draw cards with challenges, so to speak, or battles, right? And one of us would win. And the winner would win a token called Smooth Love Potion. I mean, to simplify it.
Yes.
And when you take Smooth Love Potion and you get 2 Axies together and you put Smooth Love Potion on them, well, they mate and they create another Axie. And so there's a huge value in the Smooth Love Potion that is won in every game. And that's where the people are earning their value. Now, to give you some perspective, some of the numbers are that an average Axie player at one point was earning between $50 and $100 a day in Smooth Love Potion. And they were splitting it 50-50 or 70-30 with the owner of the Axie. So if I owned an Axie or a set of Axies and I didn't have time to play, I would find a Philippine scholar. He would use my Axie. He would play, and we would split the winnings. And these guys were making between, say, $40 to $60 a day, walking away with between $40 to $60 a day. They were playing 25 days a month. You're talking $60 a day times 25 days a month. That's much more. That is a big salary in Philippines. That is a huge salary in Africa, where you're talking about an average wage or a minimum wage of, I don't know, $400, $300. What's the minimum wage? It's $200, $300, something like that. So that's really, really huge money. I mean, is Axie a one-off, or are we starting to pay and to reward people for their attention? Because you said something interesting. You said the game rewards people for their time, for their attention, which is kind of like what work does. Work rewards you for your time and for your attention and for your contribution. is this like a new work? Is this a new industry that's developed making money from video games?
In short, absolutely. What we see as what we know here in the digital world is attention equals money, and the attention economy is so important. Whether you're playing a casual iPhone game, most of the time, if you guys recall, you didn't pay anything for that game. The way they make money is by getting your attention, your eyeballs, and then they'll sell ads. When you use social media, it's free, but they're monetizing the data that they're getting. And so there's been a movement in crypto of how can we take these revenue streams and share them with the audience, share them with the user base, like with basic attention tokens, saying, hey, no, you earn for when you see ads. However, this is now making its way to gaming. And, games, especially free-to-play games, make all their money by getting people to spend their time. You spend your time, then you end up spending your money. And it's very, very simple, that relationship. So rewarding people little bits for spending their time is kind of just like sharing the wealth here, sharing the money that's being made by the game. And it's a very, very exciting concept that has a big future. Obviously, a lot of imitators are popping up left, right, and center with half-baked, reskinned, attempt at trying to chase this Axie hype. And they will get a little bit of hype, but they will quickly find that it took Axie 4 years to reach their tipping point, and it will not be easy for them to have the same long-lasting success. So you'll see a lot of imitators and very few legitimate challenges to what Axie is doing right now. But what you will see is that the real powers that be in gaming are going to start taking this very seriously, because the revenue that Axie is showing, about $1 million a day or more, that puts it on par with some of the biggest video game earning IP in the world. And that is not going to be ignored. So what I would predict is that you'd see a lot of play to earn kind of like attempts that are just cash grabs in the very near future. And over the next few years, you're going to see big video game studios make very, very high level entries into this space. And it will be, I believe, one of the biggest pushes and changes of any digital industry ever is the movement of gaming into crypto. And so absolute fortunes are going to be made.
So I see that I see the video game industry being married to the film industry. I think it's a matter of time before Disney or one of the big studios produces the movies of that. And I also see a link between the real world and the metaverse or the gaming world. And what I mean by that is, if your character gets hungry or depletes its energy in the game, one way that you can get more energy is by going to McDonald's and eating and scanning a slip, or putting in your username, and then your character increases in value. And that's how brands start to marry their investment in the metaverse. Your character runs out of energy, buy him a Coke, but you got to buy the Coke in a real world environment. And I think that's another way that you start marrying this avatar world, this gaming world, with the real world, and it becomes like one blur. It's like you're actually living multiple lives.
Yeah, I think what you're tapping into a little bit in that statement is something that I'm passionate about, is the concept here of decentralized IP. We've talked about decentralized organizations. We've talked about decentralized companies, but we haven't really talked about decentralized intellectual property very much. And that's where you start really getting to the concept of punks and apes, if you're buying into this, the concept is that if this kind of IP starts running, that you would be a part of it and that your assets would grow with it. And like you said, it's only a matter of time before the next Toy Story comes from this world, and that people could own a character. Like imagine owning Buzz Lightyear. And then they make Toy Story, and all of a sudden you have this incredibly valuable asset. And so this has been the inspiration. I started working with an individual who's actually the lead animator for about 30 years for The Simpsons, Family Guy, Futurama, all these sort of household name shows, and he's the VP of animation over at Fox. And he's been a follower of the channel for a long time. We've been talking about NFTs since 2020, and about 3-4 months ago, after the growth of, or about 2 months ago rather, after the growth of Bored Apes, I said, hey man, let's do some original stuff here, and let's try to make a show out of it. And we started talking, and the concept is that we're going to make a show from the characters that we create here. And exactly that. We don't know what's going to happen, but we know that he knows how to make network quality TV shows. And we want to experiment with decentralized IP, turning this IP over to the users and saying, hey, look, if this something happens with this, you're a part of this and you own the IP with us. And so these types of things are very, very fascinating. And like you said, it's only a matter of time before Disney and these big studios get involved.
All right, we do have 1 more minute, and I really want to tell the audience what you guys are doing at SuperFarm and what's keeping you busy and excited. So yeah, you got about a minute to do the pitch, to tell everyone what you're up to.
So SuperFarm's focus has been gaming since the beginning. That is the real exciting sort of light bulb moment for us. So SuperFarm has video games that we're partnered with to help launch on the platform, provide their NFT infrastructure, as well as lots of tools coming out for creators that help them, specifically creatives, artists, create very, very exciting sort of like the evolved version of NFTs with lots of different features without needing to know all the technical stuff. And so the goal is to lower the barrier for creators and help them create the most compelling new types of NFTs and content and help them publish it with awesome features to sell. We have an amazingly big community who are very excited for NFTs. And the goal is just to really create a space that we can onboard new audiences to NFTs through video games and through all kinds of new NFT projects. So we have a lot of different sort of sub-projects under the SuperFarm ecosystem. But the real North Star for us is advancing the gaming and NFT movement, as well as advancing the creator tools for NFT creators. As well, we have some cool DeFi stuff. We have a lot of projects that are using our NFT farming and are about to launch NFT farms. And so, yeah, we have a nice little ecosystem that is forming. And over the next few months, you'll see a lot of new cool features that we've been building quietly in the background that are even more relevant now than they had been when we started them.
I have no doubt. Elliot, thank you, my friend.